Hey guys, we're out here at the Holloway residence. We were actually out here a few months ago and take a look at the crawl space, and she wants us to come back out and reevaluate. She's ready to move forward and kind of do something. She just wants us to come and just put our eyes on it one more time and come up with the best solution for her. So we kind of thought this would be a great opportunity to kind of take you through what we're doing with crawl spaces and how we approach it. So the first thing that I do when I go to a home with a crawl space, the first thing I'm looking for is the lot. And here you can see the backyard. You can see the way that the lot kind of funnels the water towards the home. You know, I always kind of think about it, if you had a big swimming pool and you emptied it out, where would the water go? Well, here the water is going to funnel right in towards the house. The second thing that I notice over here is the actual downspout. You have a downspout that comes down off of the roof, and it's dumping water right here, which is probably just feeding the problem. The terrain of the property is always a major contributing factor towards any type of moisture that enters a crawl space. So that's always the first thing that we're looking for, the terrain, and we're looking at the way that gutters and downspouts are channeling the water away from the roof. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to get suited up, and you're going to get suited up, and we're going to go head into the crawl space. What do you say? All right, well, I'm all suited up here, and we're ready for the journey into the crawl space. But real quick, I want to talk to you about some of the things that I'm looking for. When I go into a crawl space, the first important thing is just to do a complete inspection of the crawl space. That doesn't mean sticking your head in and looking around and shining a light and saying it looks like this. We're going to go in there and we're going to do a complete, I always do a complete counterclockwise rotation in a crawl space. Just what I'm looking for is signs of moisture. That's what I'm looking for in a crawl space. Sometimes you got to remember that we have a snapshot. This is one moment in the life of this home. So what I'm looking for is kind of evidence that there has been water problems before. It might present itself with actual water, mold, mud, efflorescence on the walls, you know, just things that are going to let me know that moisture has been a problem in this crawl space. And you never really know what you're going to get until you get in there. But you know, I'm a little bit excited. This is a little bit better than a normal tight crawl space. So we're going to get in there and let's crawl through this thing together, huh? And we'll see what we see, right? Let's go. Alright, so we're in this crawl space here, and pan towards the front of the house here. Let me show you guys the first thing that I see when I'm here. Is if you look down, here, there's some exposed dirt, but you see there's a mud line up here, right? We see this a lot. The only way that mud's getting up here is if the water level at some point rises to this level. The first thing that I can tell you is at some point the water in here at least got this high. Doesn't mean it's an everyday thing. It just means that you definitely have some water that comes in. And this is the front of the house too. And if you remember, we were just in the backyard coming in. So everything slopes this way. So the chances of water coming in this way is relatively low. That means the water's probably coming in through the back and making its way here, and it's probably sneaking out right here. If you look underneath this, you see the sewer pipe here. There's a hole in the bottom of it, so that water probably comes and just goes right out that way. But that's the first thing that I see. There's a moisture barrier on the ground. The moisture barrier looks like it's in fairly decent shape. Obviously you can see where there's exposed dirt. Every house has to have a moisture barrier to keep that moisture from evaporating up from the ground up into the home. So, well, let's Let's dig a little deeper here. So in the front, we see where water level has gotten, you know, a few inches high. But over here, if you notice, I see you got a little bit of organic growth on the joist. Now, I'm not a mold expert, and but I am relatively experienced. You know, you have a few different kind of molds right here. You have some that's here, and you can see what I'm talking about. You see how it smears with my finger? And you have some that's here, and then up here as well. And there's actually some growth happening. If you can shine that up and you can get the actual subfloor, these are the floor joists. But if you look up here, you can see that they're starting to get some growth on the actual subfloor. Now, this crawl space doesn't have insulated floors here, so it's, I mean, right on the other side of that is where everyone walks. So undoubtedly, you know, that it's that moisture that comes in, evaporates up into the area, causes the mold to start happening. And as we shine down, if you look down the rest of this wall, you can see it's pretty consistent. You see the dirt line. Alright, so that was the front. Now we're going to the back. Now I figure the back is probably at least it would seem that's where most of the water would be coming in. Let's just kind of crawl back here and see what we got, okay? You can actually see where the mud's weeping through the wall. So what this is telling me is there's enough water that's coming in from the back that it's actually filling up those blocks. And actually, I think the muddy water is actually weeping in from the blocks. All right, so we're looking, obviously we can see where the water is coming in at. A lot of people call us out to do crawl space drainage for several different reasons. And most of the time when I'm out talking to folks, hey, it's based on what their goals and what their objectives are. Here, but I want to point out something with this one that we can use for any crawl space. As water comes into a crawl space and the ground starts to soften, what can happen is that over time that soft soil that holds up this foundation can become compromised. And over here, I noticed this crack forming right here. And if you pan around this way, Ryan, you can see over here where the foundation is shifted just a little bit right here. You see the crack coming up here. Right here is a corner. It's a pretty good load point here. I think what's happened here is that this ground has been soft for so long, and I think that you got a little bit of a foundation issue here. Whenever you have a properly drained crawl space, what happens is because the moisture isn't saturating the ground will stiffen up a little bit, and it'll help with your foundation. Of course, you know, it doesn't mean that your house is never going to crack. It just means that it's going to help stabilize the home as well. So here, yeah, so here you definitely have some sort of a crackage here and a crack here. There's the one crack and there's the sister crack. So homeowner here is going to want to, at the very least, keep an eye on this, or you know, they may want to get it stabilized here at some point. But I think it's an interesting thing to see. It's not always as clear as this. This is a good crawl space to do this in, I'll tell you. Alright, so there's the backyard. There's a deck and stuff in the back. That water's funneling around, and we can see where it's just coming in. And we know it comes in, it makes its way this way. And we pan down here. You want to grab that light for me? Let's see what we can do here. Oh yeah, look, Ryan. you can see the, if you pan onto the ground, you see the mud on the vapor barrier. That's always a dead giveaway. At least at some point there was considerable amounts of water coming in. I think that water just pours in underneath that deck when it rains. If you look down towards where the furnace is, you can see it looks like it still might be a little bit saturated. Over here you can see the mud's just a little bit darker. Oh, let's see if there's still standing water over here. Yeah. So it's been recent because it all hasn't dried up yet. Another thing to be concerned about here is you got your HVAC system sitting right there. Now it is up on blocks, so that's a good thing, but the condensation pump's not. So you got to be careful. Let's go ahead and just keep it moving. I think the rest of the wall, I see pretty much a lot of the same going down, although it's not quite as bad as it was in this back area. Barrier looks like it's in fairly good shape. I don't know why they didn't cover this middle section here. I don't really know why there's so much. That should definitely be covered up. I'm looking for mold. I see little bits here and there, but not quite like it was in the other area. You see some in here. You can see a little bit of growth at the bottom of this. You can see, and here's some more cracking of the wall over here. Let's finish our little tour and yeah. Well, we're on the final side wall. This is the same wall that we came in on. As you can see, there's a little bit of discoloration at the bottom. I mean, just common when these blocks fill with water, they tend to spill into the next one. Over here, you know, I noticed there's a few holes here where they knocked in for whatever reason. My guess is that's helping drain out some of the water. I mean, the ground looks pretty good. Again, there is a vapor barrier. Over here, I mean, I can see there's lots of these little insects. They're not alive anymore, but you usually find insects where there's water. So the good news is I didn't see any rodents, any signs of rodents, or I know snake skin, so that's always a good thing. But maybe a little bit more growth. But all in all, you know, I'd expect with the amount of water that comes into this crawl space for the growth to be a little bit more. So I'm pleasantly surprised that it was limited to, you know, a few different areas. And that's it. Let's get a let's measure the moisture content of the wood, and let's just get out of here. Let's get out to daylight and see what we can get. So let's take a. So the wood moisture content here is 7%, which is I'm not dissatisfied with that. I've seen it as high as 20% before. So what that means is that the woods there's not a whole lot of moisture being retained in the wood. That's a good thing for your subfloors and for things upstairs. Okay, we're back on the outside of the house here. I just want to reference this area here. When we were in the crawl space, we did see along the back wall where there was a lot of water that was coming in. And it's pretty easy to see, if you can pan down around here, you can see where everything kind of swells towards the home. And all that water is just saturating this ground, and it's leaching through. It's actually bleeding right straight through the walls. I'm going to go ahead and walk down here because I want to reference those two cracks that we did see in the crawl space, and kind of point out where they're located. So I think that water kind of comes up underneath here, and this is that corner. So if we were on the inside of the crawl space, that major crack kind of goes this way, and here's your garage area, and then the other crack is right here up underneath the window. So both of those areas aren't great areas if you wanted to try to stabilize it with the pier or anything. So that's a tough one there. But I think if we can take care of the water issue, it'll go a long way to help stabilizing the foundation and keeping it you know, where it doesn't move any further. So that's it. Well, this is a great illustration of how difficult it can be sometimes when somebody says, hey, you know, is there anything that you can do on the outside of my house to help get that water away? And there are lots of things that we can do, but in order to put drainage up against the foundation here along the outside, I mean, this deck needs to come up, this whole porch needs to come up, and then right here you have this bay window right here. Yeah, I don't even it creates a major problem. So just to recap, with this crawl space, we did find major water infiltration in the crawl space. There were some areas where there was no vapor barrier, but the vapor barrier that was in there, it looked adequate. There was some mold growth, there was some insects, and there was some foundation settlement cracks that we're going to attribute to the soft soil due to the water. And the things that we didn't see, which were rodents or evidence of rodents, and no snakes. And I hate snakes. And there was just a little bit of puddled water in there. Wasn't crazy. So so let's just wrap this up, and we can you know, try to work on a plan that's going to suit her needs. Again, we were out here a few months ago. We were in the plans. We were going to do a perimeter drain system, which it's an absolute. That's exactly what you need. They were going to drain the water to the front yard, which, after looking at the front yard, I think we can get away with a gravity exit. We'll save you from having to put a sump pump in there. And the only question is you know, what do you want to do with the vapor barrier? Do you want to you know, leave it alone, or in my experience, what you might benefit from, especially considering the mold, is maybe considering encapsulation, which is where we take all of the barriers out, and we line it with a 20 mil liner that goes over the ground and up the walls, and it helps seal the moisture from ever evaporating up into the space. We'll seal off your open vents that you have around the perimeter of it, and put a dehumidifier in. Alright guys, well, that wraps it up here at the Holloway property. We're going to head back to the office and get things moving.